So here's the Genelec 8010A active monitor. If you've watched my channel before, you may know that I've got a set of Amphions in my studio. So you might ask, why do I need another set of speakers? Well, I no longer live where I keep my studio, so I'm not there all the time anymore, and I found it difficult to write without access to layering and drum samples and that kind of thing. So I'm putting together a small setup in the summer house that I've been building where I currently live, and that way I can at least write some rudimentary stuff. I can take it back to the studio and make a better demo. So obviously I have two of these. Obviously I'm not going to go into too much detail about the box because it's the speakers we care about. These are made in Finland, the same as Amphion. So, standard UK plug. These figure 8 style attachments. They're very polite. Have a manual. And these are the white versions of the 8010s. So let's get into this. So here we have the white Genelec 8010. Feels a very solid construction. It's a very aesthetically pleasing small speaker. I'm told these are very powerful for their size, so that should work well in this room that I'm in. We have power input there and an XLR input for audio. And there's a number of dip switches there, which I'm sure the manual will tell me all about. Overall, a very beautiful speaker. Hopefully it sounds as good as it looks. So you may notice we're no longer in the spare room. This is the first video in the summer house. I've been building this for maybe a year. If you've seen my videos before and you've seen my studio, you'll know that I've got a set of Amphion 115 speakers, which are amazing, crisp, non-fatiguing monitors that I'm really happy with. However, I'm no longer living in the house where my studio is. We're expecting a child, so most of my energy will be going to making sure that this house is ready for the baby's arrival. The downside to that is I've not been able to go to the studio as much and write music. I found that just sitting in a room with a guitar doesn't really yield great results for me. So this summer house is down the bottom of our garden. It's not finished yet, and eventually it'll be a room for relaxation and pastimes. But what I did manage to negotiate was that I could have a small set of speakers in here so that I can do very basic songwriting and just lay on my riffs and can do what I'd normally do, but in a much more scaled down way. So the setup is dead simple. It's my MacBook Pro, which I've had forever, going into a Focusrite Solo 2nd Gen, which I got off Facebook Marketplace for next to nothing, and a pair of Genelec 8010s, which you can see behind me. And when it comes to software, I'll keep it dead simple. I'll just use Ableton and an amp sim just to get a decent guitar sound. Hopefully this will mean that my output will be a bit better. So I just got these things hooked up, and after a brief problem, I think with the dodgy cable, which I'm going to try and replace, they're now working and sounding great. My first impression is that these are really powerful for their size. These don't sound like multimedia speakers. They're not like PC speakers. And they're very loud for their size. I don't really need to go past 9 o'clock on the interface to get a workable volume, and anything past halfway is a bit extreme in this room. Now the room is 3.5 meters by 3, and it's plywood panelled and insulated. The floor is laminate and the ceiling's plywood as well. And the goal here isn't sort of, optimal listening conditions. I'd only start treating this room for sound so I can hear what I'm playing and layer and be a bit more creative than just sitting with a guitar and hoping something good comes out. Even though this room's not finished and it's not fully furnished yet, and there's some stuff stored in here which is eventually going to go back into the house and some more decorations done, it is a really cool place just to sit and chill out. And the sound's not half bad in here either, but it does feel like if I sit in here and start writing, then hopefully some good stuff will come out, because it is a nice relaxing place to chill out and write some music. So in terms of a demo, I'm just going to briefly show them in this room just with the camera audio, because that's all I have here. And then what I think I'll do is maybe tomorrow take them to the studio and maybe show how they sound in comparison to the Amphions. That's obviously not a very fair comparison, and I'm not hoping to show that these are in any way comparable to a set of speakers that are several times their cost. And it's not a fair comparison that these are actives, the Amphions are passive and require a power amp, etc. It's just show their basic sound qualities, and I think what you'll hear is that they're very crisp. The low end is really clear to say how small they are, and they're priced about right for what they are. I think they were £500 for the pair, which in that kind of price category, I haven't heard anything that I like as much as these. Okay, so a quick look at what we've got going on here. It's not particularly scientific, it's just to give you a quick comparison of the two speakers. Now, don't pretend for a minute that they're going to sound similar. One is a very expensive passive speaker, the other is an affordable active speaker. It's just to show some of the main differences between them at a glance. So, we've got the Amphion 115 next to the Genelec 8010A, and then I've got this Sonarworks reference mic pointed just on the left side. I'm just going to capture what's coming out of each speaker, just going to play some music so you can hear the difference. Again, not massively scientific, just a quick overview. First going to hear the Amphions. Genelec. I want to add a slight addendum about the dip switches on the back. I didn't go through these in detail. You can see in the hole here there are 5 little dip switches. Might be quite hard to see. And when they're down, they're in the off position, so they're all currently switched off. But these are pretty helpful for making this a bit more versatile. So you have the first one's the ISS disable. Now I believe this is a kind of automatic switch off power saving function, so I'll probably have that engaged. Sensitivity, I think if these are coming too hot, you can put that on to basically make a 10 dB pad. Then it has these controls which are basically for low frequency function. So obviously these are going in the summer house, which is not an ideal listening environment, it's not treated or anything like that. And the manual comes with some suggestions as to what you might use in different situations. For instance, these are going to be quite close to a wall, so it recommends the bass tilt, so you can have 2 dB, 4 dB, or both for 6 dB. And there's also this desktop control, which is recommended for if you have it just on a reflective surface like a flat tabletop. And I believe it's around a 200 hertz dip, a couple of dB. So for this setting, I'll probably have the desktop control on and the recommended bass tilt for being quite close to a wall. I'll see if that affects how it sounds, but that's the versatility that you got with these. Now that's the on-off switch next to it as well, this little button here. Very impressed with these so far.